All right. If not, you can send the answer in the chat if that's not working. Camilo, you want to give me a shot with you want to give a shot for the next one here?
Gotcha. 5 plus 7 equals 12.
Yeah, so remember again, even though we switched the order of the addition, it stayed exactly the same, the result did. Alright, thank you for the help there, Camilla. And it might be easier for these if we just do them in the chat, since it is taking, since we are having some technical difficulties with the audio for these. So, and these ones don't require too much explanation. So why in the chat, why don't people start to tell me the subtraction ones? Blank minus blank equals blank, using these numbers up here.
Even though I'm creative.
You cannot fly.
Yeah, I kept doing double click and it never worked.
So using 12, 5, and 7, what can we subtract to get one of the other numbers? You can just type it in the chat, and I'll let you know what I see.
Please go.
What app?
I don't know, Minecraft.
Ooh, Ariana said 12 minus 5 equals 7. 7. Or looks either, yeah, and Vinny Brooks said the same thing. So 12 minus 5 equals 7. That's exactly right. And then Ari said the other version, which is 12 minus 7 equals 5. So one other pattern that we should be noticing now is that with our subtraction, the biggest number is always coming first in these sets of 3. Because if you did 7 first, you could do 7 minus 5, but that doesn't give you 12. So with these sets of 3 numbers, the biggest number always comes first with the subtraction, and then it's the other 2 fill in there. And the same goes with the addition. You'll notice that the biggest number is also always the answer in the addition problems, because you could also do 7 plus 12, but that would add up to a number that isn't 5. That would add up to 19, so that just wouldn't work. So when you're using the sets of 3, the biggest number should stick out to you, and it's either always the first number or it's the answer, depending on if you're doing subtraction or if you're doing addition. And then the other 2 numbers are interchangeable, because you'll see that the difference between the 2 different additions is just the order of 5 and 7. And the difference between the 2 subtractions is, again, just the order between 5 and 7. So there's a lot of patterns with these sets of 3 numbers that we're going to be picking up on and we're going to be practicing with some time. So why don't we focus on this one here now, the 5, 6, 11 combo. And why don't we talk about these additions first? All right, Reedy said 6 plus 5 equals 11. What do we think about that? Do we all agree with that? And then we had 5 plus 6 from Sean. I think I agree with that. That's 6 plus 5 equals 11. And then we have Elise and some other people telling us the other one is 5 plus 6 equals 11. And again, we can get that super easily if we just find the biggest number between 11, 5, and 6. We know that 11 is the biggest number, so it has to be the answer for addition. And then the other numbers are going to add up to it. And because the order doesn't matter when you're doing with the addition, you can do 6 plus 5 and then 5 plus 6. It just doesn't matter what order they go in. But let's talk about subtraction now. All right, Adriana said 11 minus 5 equals 6. And that's true. Again, the biggest number always comes first for subtraction here. So 11 minus 5 equals 6. And then we're getting a lot of people saying the other one, which is 11 minus 6 equals 5. All right, great. And then we can finish up real quick with this last one. This one's a nice one. This one is has some fun numbers in it. 9, 11, or 9, 12, and 3. All right, we got Sean saying 3 plus 9 equals 12. That one was poorly written, 12. And then the other one, you just switch those first 2 numbers. That's what Sean is saying. That's what Elise is saying. 9 plus 3 equals 12. How about the subtractions? Yep, Sean is doing a great job here. Remember to put 12 first, the biggest number first. So it's 12 minus 3 equals 9. And then he's also telling us that 12 minus 9 equals 3. All right, so this is what we got for all of these answers, and there's a few patterns we noted. The first is the biggest number. The biggest number for addition is always the result, is the answer, and the biggest number for subtraction is always the bigger number that we're taking away from. It's the first number in the subtraction. So those are the first two patterns that are important. Also important is that the order for addition does not matter. Again, like we see with 3 and 8 plus 3, the only thing that changes is the order of the numbers. The result stayed exactly the same. And that makes sense because if I have 3 pieces of candy and you have 4, when we combine them together in the middle, it doesn't matter if you give yours first and then I give mine, or if I give mine and then you give yours. That wouldn't make a difference. All right, so we can move on to the next activity here. Hopefully some of these patterns are starting to stick. And so we're going to talk a little more about patterns and a little more about memorizing our numbers. And we're going to do a really, really simple worksheet here that I think might be a little tiny bit tricky, but I think that we're eventually going to get it. So let me send a link to it. Give me 1 second to pull up the link. It's just loading. Just taking a second here, sorry. We're going to do two similar activities back to back. So we're going to talk about patterns here. So the first way that we're going to do this in the chat is we're going to send this link. And then second, that's the one with pencils. And then second, we're going to do with forks. So give me 1 second to get the drawing ready so we can write in the answers. All right, so and let me share my screen. You also totally don't have to click on the link. I will be sharing my screen for everything that we do, but I just know that some of you like having it. So that's just one option to do for sure. So the goal here is to make the same result in different ways. So this is like what we were talking about with the house, except we're no longer given the numbers to work with. We have to come up with them on our own here. So we have to get to 5 in as many ways as possible. We already have one way up here. We already have 2 plus 3. And then we already have 1 plus 4. There are at least 3 other ways that we can do this. So let's go ahead and do exactly that. Let me call on someone here, and all of you can just give me one different way that you can think of. Unfortunately, some of you have an older version of Zoom, so it's not letting me select you to speak. But Sarah, I think do you want to give it a shot? I think we tried earlier, but we're having technical problems, if I'm remembering correctly. But you want to give this one a shot? Oh, maybe I remembered wrong, because we can hear you now. So how do we add up to 5? What are 2 numbers that add up to 5?
1.
Yeah, 1 is them, but remember, we already have 1 plus 4 up here. We already have that right up here as our example.
1 plus 4 equals 5.
Yeah, we already have that up here, though. So is there another way that you can write that with the same numbers? That's a different way than what's already written up here? What happens if you change the order? What if you do 4 plus 1? Does that still equal 5, or does that change it? And does it no longer equal 5?
It doesn't change.
Yeah, so instead of 1 plus 4, if you want to write a different way, because it says other ways right here, we can just switch the order and do 4 plus 1.
50.
What was that? Sorry.
5 plus 0 gives 5.
5 plus 0 does equal 5, but we're going to ask for someone else to give us our second and third answer. So thank you for the help with that first answer, Sarah. And let's see if someone else wants to give us a hand here. Someone whose name is MSBM. If you want to give it a shot here, you should be able to unmute. And we're seeing a lot of right answers in the chat. So far, just about everyone who said something in the chat has been right. Although I think the only person who was wrong and made a typo because they accidentally said 4 plus 12 and they corrected themselves afterwards. So MSPM, do you want to give me another answer here?
5 plus 0 equals 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good one. 5 plus 0 equals 5. That's sort of a little, trick that you can always pull out of your sleeve for these is you always just take the number and plus 0. All right, so thank you for the help with that one. Zoya, you want to give me a hand one more time with this last one for 5?
Yeah, sure.
What's something that we can do that adds up to 5 that isn't what's already what we see here?
3 plus 2.
3 plus 2, yeah, exactly. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. All right, great job. Thank you. All right, give me one moment here. We're going to pull up a similar worksheet that's a little bit harder that uses slightly bigger numbers here because we're going to be adding up to 10 instead of 5. So it's going to be twice as hard. Or at least twice as tricky. But I think that you'll all still get this easily. I think it will barely test you. Alright, let me make sure the screen is sharing. And now we're able to easily write on this. So we're doing the same thing, but we're doing it with 10 forks. And so we already have 8 plus 2 here. We already have 6 plus 4. And again, so we need 3 other ways to do this. And we'll see how many we can name. Maybe we'll try to go past 3. Is there anybody who has their hand raised who has not gotten a chance to go yet? I want to make sure I'm not skipping over anyone. Oh, wait, no, okay, we have a few new people here now. Gia, do you want to unmute and you can give me an answer here?
I want to.
Yeah, so tell me, what are 2 numbers that add up to 10 besides these ones right here?
5 plus 5 equals 10.
Awesome. Great job. 5 plus 5 equals 10. That's exactly right. Thank you so much for the help on that. All right, Yagesh, I'm going to allow you to talk. I think we had tried before. You have to unmute, though.
2 plus 7.
What'd you say?
2 plus 7.
2 plus 7?
3 plus 7.
3 plus 7. Okay, good. I was going to say 2 plus 7 is close, but not quite. It's 3 plus 7 equals 10. Yes, you are exactly right. Thank you for the help, Yagesh, and thank you for raising your hand for that. Thank you. All right, let's see. Unfortunately, somebody with an older version of Zoom. Raina, you want to give me a hand?
What I thought it was 5 plus 5.
We already have that one right here. Is there anything else besides 5 plus 5 that you can think of?
9 plus 1.
That's a good one. 9 plus 1. Yeah, that's exactly right. 9 plus 1. Thank you for that. So we already got the 3 other ways. We already did what the worksheet wanted us to do. I think we can go above and beyond here. I think we can list even more ways besides. So, okay, someone said 7 plus 3, so we can flip this one right here. And we can do 7 plus 3. What other ways can we do this? You can just type it in the chat. 2 plus 8. Yep, we can flip that example from up there. 2 plus 8. 0 plus 10. Yes, Sean, that's really good. Because we don't have any of the zeros yet. 2 is 0, and then 10. And then, Sean, what can we do with this one? Because it's not just 0 plus 10. What else with 0 can we get? And anyone else? How else can we use the 0 to answer this? What if we put 0 on this side? What is the left side of this part? What would it equal over here? Someone in the chat should let me know, because I have no clue what this would be on the left side here if we have 0 on the right. I already got it. Yeah, okay, now a bunch of you are saying it that it's 10.
Sketch.
So thank you for that. And then we had someone saying that we can do 6 plus 4. We already have 4 plus 6, but we can do 6 plus 4.
Is in the living room.
Are there any other ways left thinking? So there's 2 that we had, and then we came up with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 ways already. We can do 3 plus 7, or you already have 3 plus 7. Any other ways that you can think of? There's a whole bunch. But it's okay if nothing else is coming to mind. It seems like we got most of the important ones here. Amano saying negative 10 plus 20. Yep, I think, and we got just about the last one from Skylar. We got 1 plus 9. And so we can see, because we have zeros, we have the 1s and the 9s, we have the 2s and the 8s, we have the 3s and the 7s, we have the 4s and the 6s, and then we have the 5s. So you'll notice that they all pair together, because when it's 9 plus 1, that pairs up with 1 plus 9. 10 and 0 pairs up with 0 and 10, so on and so forth. Hanish, how do we talk in the answer? If you select the raise hand option, I'm going through and I'm calling on people as their hands are raised, but there's 20 people with their hands raised right now, so there's a bit of a list for us to go through, and we're just calling on people who have not had a chance to answer yet, and then maybe some people will get to go one more time today to speak and give an answer. But Hanish, I think that we had tried to call before, but there were technical difficulties. We'll see if we can get the next one over to you. But that does it for this worksheet. So what we should have just learned from that house thing, that little worksheet with the houses, from the 2 things with the pencils and then the forks, we should be learning that there's a lot of patterns going on here with numbers. When you're dealing with addition and subtraction, and even when you start dealing with other ways to play around with numbers later, there are a lot of patterns. And then so there are ways that you can just sort of, with practice, memorize a lot of the numbers. And what they add up to, like 9 plus 1, you know that equals 10, so flip it and do 1 plus 9. Well, if the first thing equals 10, well then we know that now 1 plus 9 equals 10. And so getting used to these patterns and practicing with these patterns is a great way to just become substantially better at math. But you've all been doing an awesome job here. So now what we're going to do is something that was a little bit tricky last time. We're going to try to work on that before we start another new lesson where we start to expand our horizons. We're going to practice something that we were having trouble with, and then we're going to have our second main new lesson here. And that thing that we were having trouble with was word problems, which are very tricky at times, but I have full confidence in our abilities to solve them. So let me copy the link here. Anybody that wants to open it for themselves can have it there, but no need to, because I'm about to share my screen with you once it's set up and able for me to draw on. All right. Share my screen. So we have 3 word problems here. A word problem is just when instead of giving us the numbers, it makes us figure out the numbers. So Hanish, let's see if we can try. Hanish, unfortunately, you have an older version of Zoom, so we are unable to call on you. It's not letting me select you for audio. Is there anybody with their hand raised that hasn't gotten a chance yet? Shrika, I think you have not gotten a chance yet. But if you have gotten a chance yet, remember to just put your hand down so that way we can keep track, and then I'll ask you all to put your hands up once we've gotten through everybody. So if I've seen you, if I've called on you before, please put your hand down, and then I'll ask you once more to put your hand back up once you've gotten through everybody who has gotten a turn already. But Ashika, do you want to help me with problem number 1 here? So do you want to read this out loud for me? Problem number 1.
Yes.
So what is this one asking us to do?
Mason has 3 pennies and Noah has 5 pennies. How many pennies do Mason and Noah have together?
Yeah, so what is this problem asking us to do? Is it asking us to add? Is it asking us to subtract? Is it asking us to count? So it's saying how many do they have together? How do we find out how many they have together? What does together mean? Does that sound like it's addition or does that sound like it's subtraction?
Addition.
Yeah, it's addition because you're putting multiple things together into one group. So we can draw a little addition sign, a little plus sign right there. So we're adding the amount of pennies that they have. How many pennies do they have? What numbers should I draw on the left side and then the right side of this? So we need to do Mason and Noah. How many pennies does Mason have?
3.
3. So we're going to draw 3 right here. What about Noah? How many pennies does Noah have?
5.
5. So 3 plus 5. What do we do with these numbers? We add them together so we can draw an equal sign. 3 plus 5 equals
8.
8. Exactly right. These word problems are a little tricky, but you were able to get it perfectly. Thank you for the help with that. All right. Again, please remember, if you already got a turn, please put your hand down. And unfortunately, some of you have older versions of Zoom where it's not letting me give you permission to talk. But Lily, here we go. You there, Lily? You able to unmute? Are you able to unmute yourself, Lily? Right, if not, no worries. We can try to come back to you later, but we can jump to somebody who is able to unmute for now. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody with their hand raised that has not gotten a chance yet. Deacon, you want to give me a hand? Are you able to unmute, Deacon? Hello, there you are. So do you want to read this problem out loud for us?
7 red nickels
7 red nickels
and
and 6 green nickels on
are on the table.
on the table.
Awesome, great job.
How many
Many
nickels
nickels
are
on
on the table?
table.
So how many nickels are on the table? That's the question it's asking us. So does this sound like it's addition or does it sound like it's subtraction?
Sounds like it's subtraction.
It's subtraction, it's asking how many are on the table. So if it's subtraction, well, what are we taking away? Are we taking away or are we adding everything together?
We're adding.
Yeah, so because we're adding them together. It's how many are on the table, because we have some that are red, some that are green. It's saying, well, I don't care about the color of them. I just care how many in total are there. So it's the red plus the green. So why do we do that? We can write red. And again, excuse my bad handwriting, but hopefully you can read that.
6, 7 plus 6.
So red plus green, that's what we're trying to get. So this is one way that you can solve word problems, is you can sort of break it down into steps here. So how many red nickels are there?
7.
7. And so we can draw a 7 here, and then we can do a plus sign, because we're going to bring the plus sign. And then how many green are there?
6.
6. So we use this first little thing up here, we use this with the words to help us get situated and figure out what it is that we're doing. And then we can go right below it, we can fill in the numbers that we actually need. And then so when you add 6 plus 7, do you know what answer that gives us?
14.
13, yeah. And this one's a little tricky. These numbers are getting kind of hard here to work with. But you were able to get it, and thank you so much for the help, Deacon. All right. So why don't we do number 3 now? This is our last word problem. These word problems are very tricky, but we're getting some good practice. Oh wait, we got one person. Kashidi, do you want to give me a hand here? And I think after Kashidi, we might start doing some repeats. So Kashidi, you want to give me a hand here with question number 3?
Yes. What did that mean?
So do you want to read this out loud for us, or do you want me to read it?
Can you read? No, he's not.
That's okay. I'm happy to read it. So Elijah has 9 more apples than William. William has 2 apples.
Larger has 9 more apples than
William.
William. Larger had how many apples? 9.
And so how many does William have?
I don't know.
William has 2 apples.
Oh, then it's equals 11.
Yeah, but let's figure out. Let's figure out how we can do that. So what we can do is we can write out because we want to get how many Elijah has. So we know that it's William
Million.
and how do we get to Elijah? We have to do plus how many equals Elijah? What number do I put here?
How many does Elijah have?
What?
It's because Elijah has 9 more than William, right?
Yes.
So William plus 9 equals Elijah. Well, let's write Eli to keep it a little shorter. So, and then what do I know here? Because I want to then fill this in with more numbers that I know. So I need to figure out what number I can put here to give me more information. I know how many apples William has because it says it right here. William has 2 apples. So from there I can replace William
Yes, how many
with the number. And then you're saying the answer. Yeah, what does that add up to? You want to say that one more time?
2 plus 9 is?
2 plus 9 is 11.
11, exactly right. This one was really, really tricky, but you did an excellent job with that. And then so just remember that if you're ever stuck, you can first write the numbers out, write the problem out with words, sort of putting it into a math problem before plugging in all of the numbers. So we knew that Elijah had 9 more than William, so it was William plus 9 equals Elijah. There's also another way that we can solve this one though. So let me put it onto a different color here. So thank you for the help with that problem. But does anybody think that they know a different way to solve it? Just say like me in the chat if you think you know a different way to solve this problem. Because there's a little trick that we can use here as well. So does anybody think that they know how to solve this with subtraction? So this is a little tricky to do, but what we can do is we can tell, so it says Elijah has 9 more than William. So we know that if we have Elijah minus 9 equals William as well. So this is pretty tricky. It's okay if this doesn't make too much sense, but hopefully it does. Hopefully you understand that because Elijah has 9 more than William, if we get rid of those 9, then they have the same number. So if I had 5 pieces of candy and you had 2 pieces of candy, you would say that I had 3 more. So if I have 5 and you have 3, if we get rid of those 3 more, then it's equal. So it's Elijah has 9 more than William. So if you subtract 9, it's then equal. So then we can do the same thing where we have it written out like this, and then we plug in the numbers. So we still don't know how many Elijah has. So we can leave Elijah blank, minus 9 equals 2. So from here, again, this is pretty tricky. If we know our number sets, so remember with that house we were doing, if we're familiar with 9s and 2s, we know that a certain number minus 9 equals 2. That certain number equals 11. Again, this is a very, very tricky way to do it. But I just wanted to point that out, that there's always multiple ways to solve problems. Some of them are easier, so this blue is easier. So we can put a nice check mark here because it's easy. And the red is a little bit more tricky. So I mean, it's still right. So it's a check mark, but we'll draw a little small check mark as opposed to a big check mark. So there's always multiple ways to solve problems. So what that means is that if I'm doing it different from the way you're doing it, as long as you're getting to the same answer, it's completely all right, and you're still getting the right answer. So that should be the big takeaway from here, is that there's multiple ways to go about it. And let's just remember that with word problems, we can write it out beforehand, because these word problems have been a little tricky. Word problems will continue to be tricky. They're always going to be a little bit tricky, but we've been working through them very, very well. Excuse me. I have the hiccups a little bit. What we're going to do now, though, is we are going to talk about addition. Specifically, we're going to talk about addition with multiple digits. We're going to talk about how you go about doing that. So there, let me share my screen. Give me 1 second to get this ready for me to draw. I'm not going to share the link for this one just yet because there's an answer key on the bottom. And I know there's been an answer key in some of the other ones, but this one I want to make sure that we're all doing together at the same time. So this one's just focusing on addition. For now, we're going to ignore the word problems at the bottom. All right, let me share my screen. So we're just going to talk about addition with with 2-digit numbers here. So this is something that's going to be very, very tricky, and it's pretty advanced. Does anybody I'm just going to lower all hands just so that we can all get to a baseline and restart. Does anybody want to raise their hand if they think they want to try one of these problems with me? About how they go about doing it? All right, Navi, you were the first to raise your hand. Navi, do you think you know how to solve problem A here? So,
Yeah.
so what is this question asking us to add? Which 2 numbers are we adding?
So it's saying that you're going 3. So you have to. What's the?
So we're adding
5 equals 7.
What was that? Sorry. So you have 2 plus 5 equals 7. But so what numbers are we adding here? What are the 2 numbers that we're adding?
3 and 2.
So you're adding 32. That's the number on top. It's 32. And then what's the second number?
1 and 5.
Yeah, 1 and 5. So what number is it when you have 1 and 5 right next to each other? Do you know?
15.
15. Yeah. So when you have addition with more than one number, with multiple digit numbers, it's these numbers are the same. So these numbers are really one number together, and these numbers are one number together as well. So it's 32 and 15. So let's talk about how we solve these. So we can solve them one column at a time here. So for now, we're just going to focus on these 2 numbers. We're going to isolate these ones. So, and we're just going to do simple addition. So Nabi, what were you saying? What is 2 plus 5?
Plus 5 equals 7.
Yeah, equals 7. So the next, once we've solved that one, we focus on the other column right here. So this is, I covered the number a little bit, but it's 3 and 1. What is 3 plus 1?
4.
4. Yeah, so it's 47. So this is starting to get a little advanced. It's totally okay if this is tripping you up a little bit. That is a-okay. We're going to walk through these all together very, very slowly just to make sure that we're all on the same page, because these are a little bit hard. By a little bit hard, I mean a lot bit hard. But Nadia, you did an awesome job. Thank you for the help there.
You're welcome.
All right, up next we have MSBM, a very mysterious name. Do you want to help me with problem B? You there, MSBM? You have to unmute. You there? All right, let's see if we can come back to you in a little bit, and we will try then. Sarah, do you want to give problem B a try? You're going to have to unmute, though.
Try. Four.
So Sarah, what two numbers are we adding here? Why don't we first go over that? What is this problem telling us to add?
3 and 4.
How will you say that number?
So the first number is,
34.
yeah, so 34 is one of the numbers. That's the number on bottom. And what's the number on top?
44.
Yeah, 44. So when we have a problem like this, what's the first step? Which numbers do we add first? We focus on the right column of numbers. So we can draw a little box around these. And what are these two numbers? They're both 4, right? So what is 4 plus 4? Do you know what 4 plus 4 is, Sarah?
4 plus 4 equals 8.
Yeah, it's 8. So this was the first column of number. This was the first place. And then so now we can erase that box.
No, thank you.
And we can move the box over here. So now we have to add 4 and 3. So what's 4 plus 3? Let's use our hands here. So it's 4 is what we start off with, and then we add 1, 2, 3. How many fingers do I have raised now? You there, Sarah?
7.
7. Yes, awesome. So even though you only added 4 plus 4 and then 4 plus 3, you just added 44 and 34. All right, so great job with that, Sarah.
What is that number?
And yeah, so
74.
what is this number? 78, exactly. Great job. So here's what we're learning with these numbers. We're learning that when you have 2 digits at a time, you just have to take it one column of numbers at a time. So start all the way on the right and then move over as you go. So right now, you guys know enough that you could add a 15-digit number because it's all about starting at the right and then just moving over one digit at a time. And that's because you're adding the tenths place, and then you're adding the ones, and then you're adding the tens, and so on and so forth. Because adding 44 and 34, it's just about taking it one number at a time. So it's doing the 4s first, and then it's doing the 4 and the 3 here. Hopefully that makes sense, but you can just type in the chat if that doesn't quite make sense, and we can go over exactly why that's the case. We can go over why that is. Hanish, unfortunately, you have an older version of Zoom, so I'm unable to ask you to share. But you can try through the chat, because I know that you've been trying to raise your hand for a little while now. So why don't you tell me through the chat what we do first, what numbers we're adding here. Hanish, you there? If you message in the chat, which 2 numbers are we adding? All right, we'll give you one more second, but then we're going to have to. So yeah, the first thing that we do is we do 1 plus 0 equals 1. That's exactly right, because we start all the way on the right. We do 1 plus 0 equals 1. And then Hanish, what do we do after that? Four plus 1 equals 5. That's exactly right. And so Hanish said our final answer is 51. So again, all we did was add 1 and 0 and then 4 and 1, but we were adding these big numbers, 41 and 10. Those are both big numbers, but we broke them down into pieces and we were able to get to 51. So that's a great job there. Thank you, Hanish. Sorry that we couldn't get you participating through voice, but I'm glad that we got it through the chat. Niji, do you want to help me with D here?
What number is this?
We're doing letter D.
Yes, plus 9. Okay, equals 0 plus 9 equals to 0 plus 9 equals 1.
What's 0 plus 9? What do you get if you have 0, but then you add 9 to it?
9. 0 plus 9 equals to
0.
no. 0 plus 9 equals to
5.
0.
Nine.
So Niji, why don't we use our hands to count here? So let's start with 0 hands up, 0 fingers up. What happens? I can share the link to this. Give me 1 second. I actually can share the link to this now. So because we started with this. So if you give me 1 second, Zoe, I will share the link. But so Niji, why don't we put 0 fingers up and then put 9 of them up and tell me how many you end up with.
0. 12 plus 9.
9, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, so if we have 0 fingers up and we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we end up with 9 fingers up. So it's 0 plus 9 is, ooh, sorry, we drop, is 9. And so now what is 2 plus 2?
So 2 plus 2 equals 2
How
plus
many? So I have 2 here and then I have 2 over here. What happens when I add these together?
2 plus 2 equals 2.
4.
Exactly right. So even though you only did 2 simple problems, you just added 20 and 29 to get to 49. So thank you so much for the help with that. Now we can do letter E. We have a few of these to go. We don't have to do all of these. After we get through F, we might skip a little bit and we might go down to these word problems. Just so that way we can maybe do one other worksheet and we can do a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of review at the end as well to make sure we're all on the same page. Maybe we'll do up to G or H. Allowed to talk. Kriyan, you should be able to talk now if you unmute. And if that's not working, you can message in the Zoom chat what we're adding up here. This one is a little bit tricky. Are you there? Are you able to unmute? If not, no worries. We can just... I am having technical problems. We can try to come back to you in a little bit, see if it's sorted out. Isabella, you want to give this one a shot? Isabella, excuse me. I'm sorry. I forgot the A. Isabella, so what 2 numbers are we adding right here?
63.
63? Is that a 3 at the end there?
62.
62 is the first number, and then what's the second number?
66.
It's actually just 6. So this one's tricky because one of the numbers is 2 digits, but one of the numbers is only 1 digit long, right?
Right.
So this one's going to be a little bit tricky. Now, a way that we can think about it is just by adding a 0 here. Let's just draw on a 0 just to make it make more sense in our head, so we can do the same thing. But the important thing to remember is that you align the numbers all the way to the right side here. So let's give an example of that in like this blank space up here. If you had 100,
Wow, that's a lot.
yeah, it's a really big number, right? But what if we had a very tiny number, plus 1? What is that equal to?
That equals to
It's 100 plus 1.
101.
Exactly, and that's drawn by 1, 0, 1. Now, what if we do that same problem, but we write it up and down as opposed to left to right? So let's do 100 plus, and then so we can either, let's do 3 different colors here. We can draw the 1 here, we can draw the 1 here, or we can draw the 1 here. Which place do you think is correct?
The first one.
The green, the yellow, or the red? Or the green, the orange, or the red? Which one?
The red.
The red? Yeah, that's exactly right. Because if we did the green, we would get 200, right? If the green was correct, because it would be ones would combine here, and then we would ignore those, so that would get 200, but that's obviously not right, so we know the green isn't right. So then if we tried the yellow or the orange, depending on what you want to call that, you would get 1, 1, 0. You would get 110. But that also is not the answer. The answer is 101, so we can cross that off. And then only when we're doing the red do we get the right answer. So when we're doing the red, it's 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus, or 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. So you want to align the numbers all the way up to the right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right, awesome. So let's go back to our problem here. So we push the 6 all the way to the right side. And then let me write that 0 a little better. It's a little messy. You can have a 0 right here, just for our purposes. So we're adding 62 and 6. So which numbers do we add first?
We have 62.
You know, but so which of these numbers do we add first? Because we only add one number at a time, right? So what's the first step in solving this?
2.
Yeah, so we add 2 and what?
6.
Yeah, because we go the numbers all the way to the right first. So 2 plus 6, what does that give us?
62.
Well, we're just doing 2 plus 6 right now. So what is 2 plus 6? If I 6 fingers up and I add 1, 2, how many fingers do I have up now? 8, exactly right. So we now have 8. And then what we're doing next is we're ignoring that first column. We did it. And now we're talking about the second column of numbers. So we're adding 6 plus 0. What is 6 plus 0?
6.
6, exactly. So you did a great job. You're adding these hard, really, really big and scary numbers, but you did an awesome job of breaking it down into small numbers that you know, because you know how to add 2 plus 6. You know how to add 6 plus 0. So you know how to add this big number, right?
Right.
All right, great job, Isabella.
Thank you.
Thank you for the help. All right, and we can do F, and then after F, we're going to do 1 or 2 of these word problems. Emmy, you want to give me a hand with problem number letter F right here? You there, Emmy? Are you able to unmute? Okay, there you go. You're unmuted. Are you able to talk? Can we hear you? Are you there, Emmy? I'm not sure if we can hear you. Your computer might be muted as well. But what you can also do is you can do what we were doing before and just type in the chat, and I'll say it out loud so that way everyone can hear it. Just because I would hate for you to not get a turn because of a technical problem. Camilo's getting the right answer in the chat. But Emmy, do you want to just type in the chat what we do first here? Which numbers we add first out of these? Well, we have 1 more minute to see if we can sort that out. And then if not, we can just try to see if someone else is able to get the technicalities right here. All right, we'll see if we can get somebody else on who's able to speak. All right, let's see if we can get Amog here. Amog, are you able to unmute? We're having all these technical problems at the end. You able to unmute? All right, Skylar, how about you? Are you able to unmute? You there, Skylar? I can hear something coming from your mic.
98.
How do we get to 98? What do we do first? What's the first step? But you are right. That is the right
2
answer.
and 6.
Yeah, so we focus on these numbers on the right. 2 and 6 gives us 8. And then what do we do next?
7 and 2.
What does that give us?
9.
And then, so what is this number here at the end?
98.
98, exactly right. Awesome job to you. A job well done. Thank you for the help. What we're going to do now is we're going to do something, again, that's a little bit tricky. So thank you for the help, Skylar. We can do a word problem. I know that we're having trouble with word problems. They're very, very tricky. They are very, very hard. But we're going to do this one together. And then there's one more that we're going to have someone do. So remember, we can do what we did before, where we just write the person's name. So Diego has 25 toy cars. Sarah has 13 toy cars. How many do they have all together? Well, all together means that we're putting everything together into one pile. So that tells us that we're doing addition, not subtraction. So we know we're doing addition. So it's going to be Diego. I'm just going to draw a D for Diego plus S, and S for Sarah equals something, equals a mystery. So then what we can do is we can bring this forward and we can just put in the numbers. We can replace the name with the amount of toys. So we know that Diego has 25 toys. So it's 25 on the top. And then Sarah has 13 toys. So that S turns into a 13. Emmy, we can get you for the next question. That seems like a fair deal to me. So then you add these one number at a time. We start all the way on the right. 5 plus 3 is 8. Then that's a terribly drawn 8. I apologize. I have terrible handwriting. Make sure you practice your penmanship skills now. You'll thank yourself later. And then 2 plus 1 equals 3. So this equals 38 toys all together. That is the answer to this one. So now, Emmy, let's see if we can get you unmuted here. Let's see if we can get that working. Are you able to unmute now, Emmy? If not, do you want to just tell me what we're doing here? You can talk. Okay, yeah, you're unmuted. Are you able to talk? Do you want to say something, Emmy? Oh, you said you lost your audio. That's okay. Why don't you tell me in the chat? You want to... Oh, wait, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you. Okay.
Sorry, lost and then I cannot hear anything.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Talk out loud. We can hear the answer. So why don't you see if you can tell us if we add or subtract?
I can hear.
It says in all.
15 plus 25.
So it says in all.
25? 25
We're doing
plus 13.
We're focusing on letter on a letter I.
34 plus 3.
Letters actually out.
36.
So okay, we'll see. We'll see.
37.
Yeah, the answer is 37. Can you hear us, Emmy, or no?
We can it all louder. Can you hear me? No,
Okay, Emmy, we'll try.
this is a problem. Huh?
Emmy, we'll give you your turn next class, but we'll see if we can get someone who can hear us. Just thought we can finish up this last problem to finish up our day. Sonia, do you want to help me with this last problem here? If you're able to unmute. No, some more technical difficulties. Okay, Mira, I don't think you've gotten a chance yet. You unfortunately have an older version of Zoom. We're having all these problems. Very end. Ray, how about you? Do you want to help me with this, Ray? So, Ray, are we adding or are we subtracting?
We are adding.
Exactly. How do we know that we're adding? Because it says in all, right? That means that we're adding.
How do you know that? Because it pairs in all, that's why we know if we are adding.
We want everything together. We want all of it.
Everything.
Or two numbers. So what are we adding? We're adding Sarah and Diego's dolls, right? So it's Sarah.
Has 34.
What are we adding?
Well, the first step is to write what we're doing without the numbers. Well, so first it's Sarah plus Diego.
So say
Then after that is Sarah has, how many were you saying?
34.
Yeah, so Sarah has 34. And then how many does Diego have?
3.
3. So I have a question for you. Where should I draw the 3? Should I draw the 3 here? Or should I draw the 3 here? Tell me which one's right, purple or green?
Purple.
Purple, well, which way do we want to push it? Do we push it all the way to the right or do we push it all the way to the left? Let's take a look at this problem up here.
Say it to the
And remember what we were doing with,
Only one's place.
yes, you put it in the ones place, which is all the way to the right. So do we want the purple or do we want the green?
What color is it?
Green.
Yeah, so we want the green. So let's just redraw that in blue so everything's the same color. So we put that all the way to the right. You always push the numbers all the way to the right. And then so what do we get from here?
Add it.
So what do we do first? We have this 4 and
47.
yeah, we first do the 4 and the 3, which gives us 7. And then we have the 3, and there's really a 0 here. There's an invisible 0 here.
Hmm.
And so that is 3. And the reason there's an invisible 0 here is because any number, you can add 0 before it, and it doesn't change anything. So Ray, what's your favorite number? And May, I saw you in the chat. You got that right. Why don't we pick 17? So what happens when you put a 0 before 17? Does it change what the number is worth? Or is it still 17?
Say
No.
It's still 17, right?
Yeah.
So what if I put another 0? Is it still 17?
No.
It's not 17 anymore. We changed it.
it is still 17 or not?
Yes.
It's still 17. So that's why we can put the 0 before 3. Because if you say I'm, 6 years old, that's the same thing as if you say I'm 06 years old. Because, if you're 17, you can set zeros before that, and no matter how many zeros you add before it, it doesn't change anything, even with my backhand right. All right, that is just about the end of our class today. Good timing with the end of this worksheet here. Thank you all for another great class, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. Until then, take care and bye-bye. See you all then. Thank you all. Thank you for all of the thank yous and for that you enjoyed the class. I hope you all enjoyed. Enjoy your weekends. I'm sure many of you are starting school soon, so best of luck with that.
What's no running?
Bye. Bye to everyone saying bye in the chat. You're not starting school. Well, hopefully you start sometime soon. All right, bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, you haven't touched your plate. You do not have the